So the room itself becomes part of the instruction.
The research calls the ballroom a co-presenter, not a backdrop.
What happens after the meeting ends? What should a hotel be measuring instead of equipment rented?
No rental vendor's incentive is pointed in that direction. They make more money the more gear you rent, whether or not it did anything for the room.
For the last 40 years. Put a screen in the room and people get 50%.
The only question is whether it's working for you or against you.
And almost nobody in the AV industry has ever bothered to look at it.
Every industry has a moment when it has to confront its own outdated systems. Welcome to Full Resolution. For years, Hospitality AV has operated on a model built around rentals, line items, and complexity. We helped build that system, and now we're here to challenge it. There's a clearer, smarter approach rooted in ownership, operational efficiency, and real revenue growth. Join us, and let's get this movement started.
Every attendee has sat through a session, walked out, and forgotten 80% of it by the time they got to the car. That's not a bad speaker problem. That's a science problem, and almost nobody in the AV industry has ever bothered to look at it.
Welcome to Full Resolution. I'm Chirag Patel.
And I'm Martin Kwitschau. Today, we're not talking about revenue models. We're talking about what actually happens inside someone's brain in the ballroom and why it changes what a hotel should be selling. Start with the baseline. If someone just reads material on their own, no presentation, no room, nothing, what's the retention rate?
Well, it's about 10%. That's the number for reading alone. The moment you add both sight and sound, an actual presentation, a person talking while visuals are on screen, that jumps to 50%. Same content, same person, 5 times the retention just from engaging a second sense.
And that's the whole AV industry's value proposition for the last 40 years. Put a screen in the room and people get 50%.
And everybody stopped there. Nobody asked, what happens if you go past 2 senses? It turns out that with a properly designed multisensory protocol, engaging sight, sound, and environment together in a congruent way, you're not just adding a few points. Well-designed programs are seeing a 60% reduction in the number of sessions needed to transfer the same training. That's not a nicer meeting. That's the same outcome in less than half the time.
So the room itself becomes part of the instruction, not just the backdrop for it.
That's exactly the reframe. The research calls the ballroom a co-presenter, not a backdrop. Its lighting, its sound, even its scent is shaping the neurochemical state of everyone in that room from the second they walk in, whether anyone designed for that or not. The only question is whether it's working for you or against you.
Give me a concrete example, because neurochemical state is a little abstract for a GM trying to book a conference.
Scent, it's the clearest one because it's the least intuitive. Smell has the most direct pathway to the brain's memory and emotion centers. That's why a smell can trigger a memory instantly in a way a sound or image usually can't.
And there's actual research behind specific scents doing specific things, correct?
Oh yeah, there is. Peppermint is tied to memory retention, focus, and sustained attention. That's your opening session, your product launch, anything high content. Lemon, well, that supports cognitive processing, speed, and clarity. Good for a strategy session where people need to move fast. Rosemary, well, that improves retention and recall accuracy specifically for information people need to carry with them and use later. Training content. And lavender lowers anxiety without sedating performance. That's your post-lunch slot or recovery moment after something intense.
So a hotel could actually be designing the sensory environment around the agenda, not just the AV around the agenda.
Right, yeah, that's the whole shift. Once the room is permanently instrumented, lighting, sound, and yes, scent delivery, designing for retention becomes a standard part of planning the event, not a specialty add-on nobody can afford.
So let's now talk about what happens after the meeting ends, because I think that's the part hotels have never been able to sell.
This is the piece I actually think is the most underrated. Under the old model, recording a session was a line item, an add-on that cost extra So most groups skipped it, and the value of that meeting died the moment everyone left the room. With permanent infrastructure, sessions get captured automatically. It's not a special request. It's just how the room works.
And once it's recorded, what happens to it?
Well, that's the second piece, review. Attendees can go back and access the recorded content after the meeting, which reinforces retention and makes the ROI of the event concrete instead of anecdotal. And the third piece is extend. Educational portals and communication hubs that keep the value compounding long after everyone's gone home, instead of the meeting's impact ending the second people check out.
So the hotel isn't just hosting a meeting anymore. It's hosting something that keeps working after the group leaves.
Yes, record, review, extend. 3 words, and none of it was economically possible under the model where every one of those was a separate rental charge.
Here's the question I think this whole episode is really building toward. What should a hotel be measuring instead of equipment rented?
Well, it's really the retention of the message, not the volume of equipment. That's the actual reframe. The old model's version of ROI was how much gear did we rent this group? The new version is, did this group's meeting actually work? Did people retain what they came here to learn? And will they want to come back and do it again? Those are 2 completely different businesses, even though they look the same from the outside.
And that's a story a hotel can tell a planner that no rental vendor can tell.
No rental vendor's incentive is pointed in that direction. They make more money the more gear you rent, whether or not it did anything for the room. A hotel with permanently installed retention design infrastructure is the only one in the conversation whose story is actually, we thought about whether this worked.
If you're a GM or a director of sales and marketing, here's what I want you to walk away with. The room you already have is doing something to the people inside it right now, whether you've designed for it or not. The only question is whether it's working for you.
And that's a completely different sales conversation than we have good screens.
If you want to see what a retention design space actually looks like, go to amsishospitality.com.
Thanks for listening to Full Resolution.
Because this shift is happening now.
See you all in the next episode.